Hey, Sharon Connor. Okay, will we be ready to begin? Okay, we'll begin the planning meeting of Akron City Council. I'd respectfully request a roll call, please.
Fusco.
Aye.
Kamer.
Aye.
Connor. Boyes.
Aye.
Hannah.
Aye.
All committee members are present.
I'd like to entertain a motion. We accept the minutes of the last meeting.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? The ayes have it. Very good. We have 6 items, I believe, that's up for a public hearing today, and the procedures will be that we will receive a report from our planning department. They will make a recommendation. After that report, we'll then ask if there's anyone here wishing to testify before the committee. They can be sworn in by Sarah Biviano, our clerk of council. After that, we'll open up a public hearing and ask if this is on the conditional use pieces only, but we'll ask that if there's any comments in favor or against a conditional use request. After proceeding that, we'll then close a public hearing, open it up for questions from any committee members and or council members. After that, we'll then move on to the next item. This evening, you're invited back at 5 o'clock, in which we'll repeat the process, and you're also welcome to join us via Zoom at 5 o'clock. But we will repeat the process at 5 o'clock this evening. The only significant difference will be that the committee will make a recommendation to all of council, either in favor or against. And those are the procedures that we follow here for conditional use requests, which is the 6 items that we're going to be addressing right now. And with that, I'd like to request, Sarah, could you please, Sarah Biviano, read in the first item?
The first item up for public hearing today is an ordinance authorizing a conditional use to place a digital outdoor advertising display at 800 Flora Avenue and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Mr. Antonucci?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee members. Kenjo Outdoor is requesting permission to place an outdoor advertising display, or a billboard, to a height of 65 feet at this location. The double-sided V-shaped billboard would be located approximately 450 feet east of the west end of the property, roughly centered on the lot. The location was selected based on the petitioner's understanding of the required distance of 500 feet from a ramp along an expressway as required by the Ohio Department of Transportation. This is actually being looked at by the petitioner, so it may be moved a little bit to the west. The digital panels, each measuring 48 feet in width by 14 feet in height, would be supported by a steel, which is 672 square feet in area, would be supported by a steel monopole column 48 inches in diameter. The structure with a base elevation of approximately 10 feet above the interstate surface would reach an overall height of 65 feet above ground level. The zoning code establishes development standards for advertising displays permitted as a conditional use, and this proposal meets most of them. The proposed height, however, would be similar to the approved heights of several recently approved displays and should not impose on the surrounding area. In addition, advertising displays along expressways are by code, in our code, a minimum of 660 feet from the edge of the right-of-way of the primary highway. However, a precedent has been established allowing similar billboards but with conditional use in proximity to interstate highways and other expressways. A lighting study has been submitted and is expected that the digital display would comply with national lighting requirements. The proposed digital advertising display is along a well-traveled highway at a height of 65 feet, and digital faces oriented toward the highway. The billboard should not impose on neighboring uses. It should contribute to a vibrant business environment by providing an efficient means for local businesses to communicate with consumers. And both the Planning Commission and Planning staff recommend approval, subject to conditions. Thank you.
Thank you for your report. At this time, I'd like to ask if there's anyone here or online wishes to testify before the committee. Please be sworn in by Sarah Biviano, our clerk of council.
Could you please raise your right hand? Yeah. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give will be the truth? If so, please say, I do.
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, we'll now open up the public hearing and request that you please provide for us your name and address. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike, for the reading. My name is Dan Nielsen. I'm at 928 Haverhill Drive, Troy, Ohio. I'm here to speak in favor. I'm obviously with Kenjo Outdoor Advertising, but yeah, we bought this property. It's vacant currently. We bought it. We paid the back taxes. It's very long and parallel with the highway. And so we thought it would be a great location. It's surrounded by, I think there's a junkyard and a pallet place. So, pretty industrious area. We've got 3 or 4 signs in the city already, and we've done a lot of local businesses with roofers and banks and daycares, and so it's gone well for us, and we hope it's gone well for some community members. Yeah, it's a high traffic area that we think is great for a sign like this. I'm here to answer any questions.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony. Is there anyone else here wishing to testify in favor and or against the proposal for a digital board on, 800 Flora Avenue? Anyone else here? Anyone online signed up? No? Okay, very good. Apologize, I got a bit of a cold. With that, we'll close the public hearing portion and open up to any committee members who may have questions or comments. Anyone? Yes, Tina Boyce.
Thank you. So it appears in reading the orientation of the sign, it'll obviously be facing east-west on 224, right?
Yes.
So there are houses on 11th Street that one side of the digital billboard will be facing. Have we looked into, if trees are going to help dim that light? How are we dealing with the residences there?
So I think there's a lighting study. I don't know if it's actually in the packet, but the lighting study, I don't know exactly which houses you're speaking to, but the lighting study, if you read it, basically it displays where the light will go from the screen. And at a distance of 500 feet, I think it's 0.02 foot candles, which, what's a foot candle? So in reference, a 100-watt light bulb that you guys would typically put in your garage light, something that a sconce on your house. If that's a 100-watt light bulb, and you're within, say, 1 or 2 houses of that garage light would produce more light to your neighbors than where our sign is to any residential properties. That's kind of how I describe foot candles. I don't have the light study with me. I know it's in the packet, but typically all the light is for the cars, for the traffic.
Yeah, I would just add that the 11th Street, the houses there at the end of 11th Street, those are by the static billboard, which they actually moved a little bit further away. That's why it's only they're 700 feet apart, is in deference to those houses that are there. They moved at some distance from those houses. So
Yes.
we think that that's a fair solution. It's not a digital right there by the house on the east side.
Yeah.
This one is for the digital one on the west side. The next one will be for that, for the one on, if those are the houses that you were talking about.
Yeah, and it appears that the Flora houses are further north, so they're not in a direct line
Right.
with the site. So, yeah.
Correct.
Thank you.
Good. Further questions or comments from anyone? Okay, very good. We'll now move on to the next item that's up for a public hearing. Ms. Viviano?
The second item up for public hearing today is an ordinance authorizing a conditional use to place a static outdoor advertising display at 800 Flora Avenue and declaring an emergency.
Yes, Mr. Antonucci?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Committee members, Kenjo Outdoor is requesting permission to place an outdoor advertising display at this location. The double-sided V-shaped billboard would be located 157 feet west of the east end of the property, roughly centered north to south on the lot. This location was selected as providing sufficient separation distance from the 2 non-conforming residences to the east. The externally illuminated static panels, each measuring 48 feet in width by 14 feet in height for 672 square feet of area, would be supported by a steel monopole column 48 inches in diameter. The structure, with a base elevation approximately 12 feet above the interstate surface, would reach an overall height of 65 feet above the ground level. The zoning code establishes development standards for advertising displays permitted as a conditional use, and this proposal meets most of them. The proposed height would be similar to approved heights of several recently approved displays and should not impose on the surrounding area. A precedent has been established allowing similar billboards in proximity to interstate highways and other expressways. A lighting study has been submitted, and it's expected the digital display will comply with national lighting requirements. The proposed externally illuminated static advertising display is along a well-traveled highway. At a height of 65 feet and digital faces oriented toward the highway, the billboard should not impose on the neighboring uses and should contribute to a vibrant business environment by providing an efficient means for local businesses to communicate with consumers. Both the planning staff and the planning commission recommend approval subject to conditions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Antonucci. At this time, I'll ask if there's anyone here wishing to testify before the committee. Please be sworn in by Sarah Biviano, our clerk.
Do you understand that you're still under oath?
We can do it again. Yeah, either way.
Thank you.
You're good. In essence, you're good. Well, and given that, we'll open up the public hearing, and if you can please provide for us your name and address. Thank you.
Hi, Dan Nielsen, 928 Haverhill Drive, Troy, Ohio. So to kind of hit on why we moved this sign particularly west. So per ODOT's rules and regulations, and I don't, if you want, I can get real technical. We could have had the 1,000 spacing that's in the code, but it would have put this sign to the east, we feel, annoyingly close to that house. It would have mathematically fit, but we chose, hey, we don't want to be had we gone the 1,000 spacing, it could have been digital per the state. So we're like, you know what, let's scrap that. It can't, I don't want to put a digital sign on top of someone's house. So I emailed Mike, hey, can we scoot this east sign a little bit away from that person's property? I'm working with the state on, we do have our state permits, we got them yesterday. I'm trying to move the west sign just as far as we can to be better with code, but I think the state rep's been a little bit ill, so I haven't gotten a ton of action there, but I'm still working on it. But yeah, we scooted the east sign away from the house for the reasons you've mentioned. This one's a static, it just has 300-watt light bulbs, so imagine 3 of the light bulbs I described 5 minutes ago.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony. Is there anyone else here wishing to testify for the committee in favor or against? Very good. Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing. Open up for questions from the committee and/or Tina Boyes.
Thank you. Not a question, but I'm curious, we get a copy? I would just like a copy of the lighting study. Not that I understand all of it, but, residents will be asking. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Further questions or comments? Okay, hearing none, saying none. I have a question. Mr. Antonucci, in terms of, you mentioned proximity to the expressway, but what about proximity between boards? Obviously, there's a difference between digital and static. And this is, I'm looking here on the map, it says 700 feet. Is this precedent setting yet again or not? In terms of proximity from other boards and this and that. I don't want to set something here. And that's one thing I know we've talked about before, like having too many and one right after another. Sometimes you'll see towns where you see all kinds of them stacked up. And I think we want to avoid that here.
Right. Well, so yeah, with this particular location, I kind of understand where they were at with trying to move the one and going with the static on the one to the east, which made there's a situation with the entrance ramp to the west, which makes it so there's a little bit of jockeying for room there. These could potentially be 1,000 feet apart if he's working with the state to get the one moved more to the west, the western one, moved closer to the ramp. But that's going to be something that the state's going to have to approve doing. So as far as precedent on others along the expressway, I'm not aware of any closer than 1,000 feet apart. But again, as a conditional use and the fact that they've purchased this property, which is fairly long along the interstate there, we didn't think that it was a bad solution to get the both of them on there.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you. Further questions or comments? Public hearing's over, but I'll
Okay,
Go ahead.
just-
Yeah, you can make a comment if you'd like.
Yeah, just for, everyone's understanding. So per state law, 2 structures can't be closer than 500 feet. So even if Akron was like, hey, you can put them up every 10 feet, that's just not how it works. So per state law, 2 structures, 500. And then if you want to go digital, those by state law also have to have 1,000. So even if Akron did set some kind of crazy precedent of, hey, we can have as many digitals as you want, the state would be like, that's not how it works. So I hope
Thank
that's
you for
a little
that.
informal, yeah.
Very helpful. Thank you very much. Thank you. But we can go above and beyond the state, correct? Yeah, we can. Thank you. Further questions or comments? Hearing none, we'll now move on to item number 3. Sarah Biviano.
The third item up for public hearing today is an ordinance authorizing a conditional use to construct 3 two-family dwellings at 733, 737, and 745 Excelsior Avenue and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Antonucci?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee members. Middlebury Housing LLC is requesting permission to construct 3 new two-family dwellings at 733, 737, and 745 Excelsior Avenue. The proposed lot area for each dwelling is 5,378 square feet with a street frontage of 45 feet each. Because the project site is within a single-family residential use district and the lot sizes and setbacks do not meet development requirements, conditional use approval is needed. The proposed homes are 2 and 2.5 stories with first floor and upper floor dwelling units. They will be clad in horizontal vinyl siding and contrasting vinyl board and batten for shingle siding in the roof gables. The proposed two-family housing type is very compatible with the existing residential context. The developer has previously constructed a two-family home at 764 Excelsior Avenue. Numerous other two-family and multifamily dwellings exist in this Roselawn Excelsior neighborhood. 23 of the 74 residential buildings in the surrounding 8-block area are two-family or multifamily structures, which is 31% of the total. The proposed two-family units will be constructed on lots that are similar in size to those that other two-family homes in the neighborhood are built on. Building two-family dwellings on these vacant lots will have many benefits. Infilling vacant land with new housing provides more residents with eyes on the street to increase neighborhood security. Two-family dwellings provide an affordable housing option compared to buying or renting a full-size, single-family detached home. Two-family dwellings can make access to home ownership easier because rental income from one of the units can subsidize the mortgage for the owner of the two-family dwelling. The first floor unit offers single-story living that is desired by some older residents or needed by those with mobility challenges. The proposed units will be only a 3-minute walk from the number 6 and number 19 Metro RTA bus lines, which offer access to desirable destinations such as jobs, schools, and shopping. Living close to transit reduces transportation costs for residents while also supporting the viability of the Metro RTA system. The proposed two-family units help achieve the goals of the Land Use and Development Guide Plan and the 2019 Middlebury Neighborhood Plan by promoting construction of a full range of housing types and price ranges that meet the requirements and desires of the city's population. The neighborhood plan calls for the construction of missing middle housing units such as two-family units, townhouses, and small multifamily units. The plan specifically designates Excelsior Avenue as an appropriate location for these missing middle types. The neighborhood plan notes that these units should be built on existing lots of record in order to maintain the density that supports the walkable neighborhood that Middlebury residents say they want. The proposed two-family homes will help accomplish many of the city's stated goals, including providing affordable housing options, repopulating our neighborhoods, and providing access to transportation choice for residents. Both the Planning Commission and planning staff recommend approval, subject to conditions. Thank you.
Thanks. At this point, we'll ask Sarah Biviano to please swear in any individuals that may be here or online that wish to testify.
Is there anyone here in the audience to speak on this public hearing?
Okay, we're not seeing anybody. We'll open up the public hearing and ask if there's anyone here wishing to testify for legal reasons. Hearing none, seeing none, we'll now close the public hearing portion And is there any questions or comments from any committee members? Not hearing. Sharon Connor.
I just want to add that Middlebury Housing has done a wonderful job bringing up the housing stock
dear.
in the neighborhood. They've transformed probably close to 100 homes over the past few years, and we're looking forward to these.
Thank you. Any other council members? Any comments? Tina.
Just a quick question. Were these lots formerly two-unit dwelling lots or just single-family home lots, or what were they previously? Do we know?
They were single family.
Okay.
Excuse me, can you come to the microphone, please? Thank you.
Sorry about that. Daniel D'Angelo with planning. So they, at least one of them did have a two-family on it. I think the other one maybe had a three-family. I can get you the actual, but it's a comparable number of units.
Well, there's precedent to them existing, which is, I think, an important point. Thanks.
Further questions or comments?
Sorry about that.
Hearing none, seeing none. Mr. Julian, would like to make a comment?
Really quick, I was texting with Zach Cole, the executive director at the Well, and he got hung up with something, and he could not make it in time. Unfortunately, he apologized, asked me to relay that, but he's going to try and be here at 5 o'clock to speak on this.
Cool.
But in case he's not, one thing I do want to point out, though, is that these homes are, he has buyers in place for these.
Cool.
So these will be owner occupied. It was really important because it's both providing an expansion of affordable housing as well as an expansion of home ownership opportunities in this neighborhood. And it's very important that we do both of those things. And here we have a project that is checking both of those boxes. Also important to keep in mind here is that it is precisely because we're presumably allowing for a duplex to be built, that the homeownership opportunity is there because of the way that the bank is going to underwrite these properties, taking into account a good chunk of the rents that will be paid by that second unit as part of the family income, which allows them to qualify for the mortgage necessary, as well as have a better appraisal. So it's just an example of how that flexibility to meet the market is very important, and so we're very excited about this.
Thank you. So with this, just out of curiosity, item number 1, which is one of the conditions, is that the minor changes may be approved by the Department of Planning and Urban Development. Is that what's the definition of a minor change?
That's typically part of every conditional use that we offer, but if it's for example, sliding the house a few feet to one side or the other, something like that, something that doesn't fundamentally change. We couldn't add a unit,
Right.
right?
But if it's beyond the code,
Yeah,
happens then?
if it's beyond
beyond the code, what happens then?
beyond the zoning code or the building code?
Yeah,
Sorry.
the zoning code or, I know a number of things go to the Building Appeals Board and a number of things go to, just curious.
If it was anything that changed the function of the house, if it changed the nature of the proposal, then it would not be consistent. We'd have to come right back here.
Okay.
But it's the minor things, in terms of the placement on the lot,
Yeah.
a few things like that are within the purview of us to just administratively approve.
Very good, thank you. Okay, with that, I think we'll move on to the next item. Sarah Viviano, could you please read that in?
Item number 4 is an ordinance authorizing a conditional use to construct an oversized garage at 711 Delaware Avenue and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Antonucci?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee members. Shade McMillan is seeking approval to construct an oversized garage and pavilion in the rear yard of his residential property. The proposed garage will measure 32 feet in width, 40 feet in length for 1,280 square feet of area with a height of 22 feet 2 inches. An outdoor covered pavilion attached to the south side of the garage will measure 20 feet by 20 feet for 400 square feet of area and a height of 15 feet. Altogether, the area of the structure will be 1,680 square feet. will be set on a concrete foundation and constructed on a wood frame structure with a brick veneer on the front and south elevations to match the dwelling and vinyl siding on the rear and north elevations. The second floor will feature a 15-foot by 40-foot loft to be used for personal storage. The pavilion will be open on 3 sides with a stone fireplace set within the eastern side and raised planters surrounding the remaining perimeter. The structure will have a metal roof with a dormer centered over the garage. Gutters and downspouts will be tied into the ground for proper drainage. The footprint of the structure does not exceed 40% of the required rear yard area on this large lot. The proposed garage and pavilion will provide an amenity for outdoor enjoyment of a future pool, for the personal storage of vehicles and household equipment, and will add value to the property and neighborhood without imposing on surrounding neighbors. And both the planning staff and planning commission recommend approval subject to conditions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I wanted to make sure I didn't miss something within your report. Thank you for that. Sarah Biviano, would you like to swear in anyone who wishes to testify?
Could you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give will be the truth? If so, please say, "I do."
I do.
Thank you.
My name is Shade McMillan. I live at 711 Delaware, and I'm here in favor of the permit. And essentially, I have 3 kids and a growing family. They're always running around to somebody else's house to play, and we run out of room for space and outdoor use. We've decided to put in a pool and stay in Akron as opposed to looking elsewhere to live. And I don't know, pretty proud of the project, and I'm just here to answer any questions anybody has about the whole project, I guess.
Thank you so much for coming down. Thanks for your testimony. We'll consider this as being open. Is there anyone else here wishing to testify in favor or against this proposal? Anyone online? Anyone wishing to testify in favor or against? Very good. Thank you so much for coming down today. We may have some questions.
Yeah, no
And
problem.
of course, you're invited to come back at 5 o'clock if you'd like to, or you
Okay.
may Zoom in if you wish.
Okay.
So thank you very much. Questions or comments from any committee members? Council members? Hearing none, seeing none. Again, thank you so much for coming down. And
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Again, at 5 o'clock this evening, the committee will make a recommendation to all of council, either in favor, against, or to take time, table an item. Thank you. With that, we'll now move on to the next item, number 5, I believe. Sarah Biviano.
Yes, number 5 is an ordinance authorizing a conditional use to construct a child daycare business center at 698 Diagonal Road and declaring an emergency.
Yes,
Mr.
thank-
Antonucci.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee members. Wonder World Child Development Center is requesting permission to establish a child daycare business center at this location. The proposed one-story L-shaped building will encompass 14,000 square feet of area. Construction materials will consist of CMU and vinyl siding. A fenced playground measuring 30 feet by 20 feet for infants will be sited immediately west of the rear portion of the building, with an open playground for school-aged children west of the fenced-in area. An angled 10-space parking area will be to the east of the building, with overflow parking behind the abutting church. The proposed daycare building will contain space for 8 classrooms, plus a kitchen and pantry, library, multipurpose room, office space, and other accessory uses. Wonder World Child Development Center will be consolidating the abutting location and their 1360 East Avenue location into this facility. Care would be provided for an estimated 174 children, ranging from infants to school-aged. The day of the operation will be from Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. There will be no overnight stays. Drop-off and pickup will occur in the parking area to the east of the building. Objectives of the Land Use and Development Guide Plan are to promote good design standards to guide the location of new retail developments so that it will be convenient to residents served and will have minimal impact on adjacent properties. The building materials of the proposed building will be harmonious with the neighboring residential developments. The 12 proposed spaces plus available parking at the rear of the church will be sufficient. The petitioner has a collaborative arrangement with the neighboring Akron Alliance Fellowship Church for parking. the parking lot in front of the proposed building with differing hours of operation between the church and daycare. Any parking conflict should be minimal. Wonder World Daycare has been operating in the adjacent church for 15 years, with most activities being conducted indoors and outdoor play areas properly screened. The large building can accommodate a large number of children without having a detrimental effect on nearby uses. The Daycare Business Center has had a presence in this West Akron neighborhood for over a decade, and the proposed development will be a positive addition. Providing quality daycare service is beneficial to the entire city, and the planning staff and planning commission recommend approval, subject to conditions. Thank you.
Thank you for your report. At this time, Sarah Viviano, could you please swear in any individuals that may testify before the committee?
Is there anyone here in the audience as well? Okay, we do have one person online with us, so I'll swear you in. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give will be the truth? If so, please say, "I do."
I do.
Thank you.
Very good, thank you. We'll now open up the public hearing and ask if there's anyone wishing to testify on behalf of the petitioner. You're welcome, Bridget, and thank you for, I don't see your last name, so.
Oh,
thank you very
Tipton,
much for
yeah.
joining us today.
So I'm representing the architect. I am an architect representing the client. So if there are any questions about the design or intent of the use or anything like that, I'm here to just help answer any questions. Just to reiterate, they already operate this facility just next door. They're just looking to improve their facilities and to consolidate from 2 buildings into one. Their infant center is down the road a ways, and so they're trying to move all childcare of all ages into one facility next door to where they're primarily operating now. So,
Thank you. We could please have your address and last name.
Bridget Tipton, 458 West Main Street in Kent.
Thank you so much. Is there anyone else here wishing to testify on behalf of the petitioner or against? Anyone? Okay, hearing none, seeing none. I just have a question. That's a good-sized building, and it's wonderful to see thriving here in terms of childcare. How many children will accommodate altogether? I think in the report, Mike, you said over 10. And I know typically we do see these licenses come in from the state that indicate like a certain amount, but I was wondering if this is just going to be over and above. It seems like a good-sized property here that's going to be built, proposed.
Yeah, I think that letter said 175 maximum students. You're right about the state licensing though. The room size there's a certain number of square feet per child that each room has to have in order for her to be licensed for that number of children. So the building is very much calculated, to the square foot for the number of children that she intends to serve. So
That's wonderful to see this.
Yeah.
And I don't think we've ever had this many at one conditional use request. It's quite sizable and unique, and
Yeah.
certainly appreciate the good effort. That's not going to, affect how we're going to vote, but anyways, at this time we'll close the public hearing and ask if there's any questions from any committee members or anyone, any council folks. President Somerville.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to speak in support. The petitioner has done an amazing job really leading in excellence in childcare, and not just childcare. They says daycare, but she is really helping these young people early learning and reading and different things of that nature. So I just wanted to speak in support, but also just curious, do we have any renderings of what the building will look like?
We do. I wonder if the architect can share. I have a file with the drawings.
Let me see what I might have. I have the floor plans and things, the exterior renderings I can have by 5 o'clock. I do have them, but I didn't prepare the file. It would take me a minute to find it. But I do have something that I could bring this evening. It's
if you could
Sure.
at 5, that'd be great.
Yeah, I'll plan to have that PDF, and I can just share my screen, and you'll all be able to see it pretty easily.
Thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
very much for that. Thank you. And we'll see you at 5 o'clock.
Yeah, I'll be back.
Short of any other questions or comments from anyone? Seeing none, again, thank you very much, and we'll see you at 5 o'clock. Thanks.
Yep, thank you.
Next will be item number 6, I believe.
Yes, the final item up for public hearing today is an ordinance authorizing a conditional use to establish a Type A daycare home at 355 St. Ledger Avenue and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Antonucci.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee members. Tiffany Goller is requesting permission to establish a Type A child daycare home at this location. The proposed daycare home, Happy Bees Child Care, would occupy the first floor of the 720-square-foot ranch dwelling. Care would be provided for a maximum of 12 children, ranging in age from 1 to 14 years. Days of operation will be from Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Weekend and overnight care will be provided as needed. If approved, the petitioner intends to hire 2 full-time and 2 part-time assistants. No changes are proposed to the interior or the exterior of the house. Petitioner has stated that if approved, either the rear yard will be enclosed by chain link fencing or the children will be taken to a nearby park for outdoor recreation. This Goodyear Heights neighborhood property is well maintained, and traffic engineering has no concerns with drop-off and pickup. This request to move from a Type B to a Type A license will allow the petitioner more flexibility in meeting her client's daycare needs. Providing quality daycare service is beneficial to the entire city, and such planning staff supports the request, and both planning staff and planning commission recommend approval, subject to conditions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Antonucci. At this time, we'll ask if there's anyone here wishing to testify on behalf of the conditional use request at 355 St. Ledger. Anyone here? Hearing none, seeing none. We will still open up the public hearing. Is there anyone here wishing to testify in favor or against? Anyone? Anyone? Close the public hearing and ask if there's any questions from any committee members and/or council members at this time. Not seeing any. Very good. With that, we'll now move on to the balance of the agenda. Is there, short of anything I can recall?
Excuse me,
We have
Miss-
item number 19, I do see. Ms. Viviano, could you please read that in? It's a substitute offered as an amendment.
Yes, item number 19 under regular agenda, you'll find the substitute offered as an amendment as item number 1 in new legislation. Again, that's a substitute offered as an amendment. Ordinance authorizing a conditional use to establish a dual-use cannabis dispensary at 235 East Waterloo Road and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. With that, I see Mr. Kamer is online. Any comments? Councilman Kamer, I know you've been working on this.
Sure. Thanks, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I can bring the committee up to speed in regards to this conditional use. It's been about 3 months since we've taken time, and we did hold a community meeting back in March. Was well attended, and the petitioner's been great to work with, and try to speak with a lot of the neighbors and business owners that are in this general location and ready to move forward with this. The amendment is basically focused on just the Saturday and Sunday hours of operation. And with that, if anyone has any questions, I'm here.
Thank you. Thank you for all your hard work. 3 months is quite a while, but making sure we get it done right. Questions or comments from anyone? Is consent agenda okay, or would you like for us to pass this now?
It doesn't matter. It's up to the committee. Consent's fine. Suspension of the rules is okay too.
Okay, well, is that a recommendation I hear, I believe, for consent agenda?
So moved.
Okay, and that's a second for consent agenda. All those in favor of consent agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Very good, the ayes have it. And with that, we'll now move on, short of any questions or comments, to the new list of legislation. Sarah Biviano, could you please read in, I guess that would be item number 2?
Yes, item number 2 is an ordinance accepting a vacation plat for an unnamed alley north of Nicholas Avenue, east of Darrow Road, and declaring an emergency.
Yes, Mr. Antonucci.
Yes, this is vacating a paper alley this is necessary for construction of the new Circle K on Darrow Road in Newton, which was approved as a conditional use a few months back.
Yeah, we've been working on that for a while as well, right? Quite some time. Very good. Any questions or comments from anyone? Is consent okay, or should we move quicker?
Consent is fine.
Consent's good. Is there a recommendation for consent?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Again, The ayes have it. Item number 3, Sarah Viviano.
Item number 3 is an ordinance authorizing the sale of city-owned property located in Ellett, Summit County parcel number 6764407, to John Reeves to allow expansion of his current parcel by providing additional land to accommodate the required setbacks for a landscaping buffer and reduce the cost to the city and taxpayers in maintaining vacant lots, determining said property is not needed for public use and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Volleman.
That is a great synopsis of what we're looking at doing. It's about a third of an acre at the $25,000 per acre price, and he is the neighboring property owner, and this is necessary to be able to expand his business.
Okay, very good. Where are we at here? I'm looking for a map.
This is on, I can bring you one if you'd like.
I see it.
Oh, you got it?
This is your guy? Yeah, this is the one. I know Mr. McKittrick's been working on this one for quite some time as well, so it's good to see closure. So, yeah. Any comments or questions? Hearing none. Is consent okay, or should we move quicker? Consent's okay?
Yeah. Consent is great.
All right. Cool. Recommendation for consent? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against, the ayes have it. Item number 4.
Item number 4 is an ordinance authorizing the execution of a contract for sale of land for private redevelopment with Dirty River Properties, LLC, or their respective assignees, providing for the acquisition, sale, lease, and redevelopment of property in the Glendale Avenue redevelopment area, finding such property is not needed for any public use and related findings, and declaring an emergency.
Yes, Mr. Volleman.
Thank you. Dirty River Bicycle Works was the selected proposer of an RFP that the city of Akron did some time ago. They're looking to move their bicycle shop to the property at Glendale. It's that building down, 55 Glendale, if you're familiar where that is, if you're going down Rand. If you have questions about the specific project, Mr. Vester can answer, and Ryan Adams from Dirty River Bicycle Works is here as well.
Very good. Thank you so much. Is there, yes, by all means, please feel free, if you would like. If not, no pressure, but please feel free to step up and if you'd like to make any comments. If you could please, though, for us, give us your name and address. We'd appreciate that. Thanks.
Ryan Adams, 1738 Highbridge Road, Cuyahoga Falls, and I operate the bicycle shop at 110 North Main. We opened, it was me in a room in the Northside Marketplace 8 years ago. Decided to come downtown, met Susie and their team, and it was a risk, and we've survived through the highs and lows of the
pandemic,
COVID pandemic, bike boom and bike bust. There's a huge bust, so we've learned to survive, and we want to be here long term. And this location has a great place in our heart. I've led about 1,000 people on bicycles up Cadillac Hill, which is connected to the parcel. It's very fun, and people really like the challenge. And we've led about 800 group rides, in addition to selling many bikes and fixing and repairing lots of bikes so people can commute around Akron. And we take this strange abandoned old monument company and turn it into a fun place for the community to meet, to ride bikes, and have their bicycles serviced. So I'm very excited. Hope you join me in being a part of this.
Thank you so much for all that you've done here. And that's, you mentioned that's fun going up the Cadillac Hill. I kind of challenge that idea, but hey, you know, if you're in shape, I guess I'm not. So driving up it would be a challenge for some. But thank you for all you've done. Appreciate it. Questions or comments from anyone? Yes, Tina Boyce.
Thank you. I just wanted to mention how supportive I am of this, because I witnessed these folks coming up my hill at 6th Street and Indian Trail as well, and people complain that the bike lanes aren't getting used. These are the guys that are getting people on bike lanes, and they're not just doing it for recreation. So I just want to applaud you and thank you for your efforts.
Very good.
Consent would be great.
Consent would be okay? Good. Okay, very good. Is there a recommendation for consent?
Second.
All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Very good, the ayes have it. Thank you. And with that, planning is adjourned.
Our next committee today will be the Public Service Committee, and it will begin at 2 o'clock. Those committee members are Kamer, McKittrick, DeShazier, Bolden, and Lombardo. Again, that's the Public Service Committee, and it will begin at 2 o'clock. Thank you. Okay, it's 2:00, and our next committee meeting of the day is the Public Service Committee. Those committee members are Kamer, McKittrick, DeShazier, Bolden, and Lombardo. We have all committee members present except for Councilman DeShazier. Whenever you're ready, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Sarah. Yeah, I'd like to call the public service meeting to order, please. We do need to approve our minutes from 2 weeks ago.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion, a second for approval of the minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right, thank you. We do have 5 new pieces in front of us today. And Sarah, if you could read in that first piece, please.
Sure can. Before we move forward, can I ask our IT department to adjust our camera settings? We're still seeing our slideshow. Thank you. The first item in public service is item number 5. It's an ordinance determining to proceed with the improvement of certain streets between certain termini in accordance with Resolution Number 48, 2025, the 2025 Arterial Collector Resurfacing Program, and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, Sarah. And I do see we have our service director, Chris Luddle, with us. Chris, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of committee. This piece and the next two are similar. This is the last piece for the 2025 resurfacing we will bring before you. This piece is confirming the board hearing we had for the Assessment Equalization Board. No one did come and oppose last Thursday. We held a hearing for all 3 of these pieces, and no one came to chambers to object. So we're moving forward, the notice to proceed with this legislation. I would respectfully ask if we could suspend the rules on this piece and the next 2, sir, just because our contractor, just to give you an update, there was some carryover, as you remember. I believe it was about 14 to 15 miles from 2024. They are actually finishing today with that last section of Kenmore Boulevard. So they are done with the carryover, and this will allow them to move forward with the 2025 resurfacing.
Sounds good. Thank you, Chris. Committee members, any questions or comments? I don't see anyone. Anyone online with us? All right. Chris is interested in suspension of the rules. Can I get a favorable report?
So moved. Second.
All in favor of suspension of the rules?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right. Thank you. Moving on to the next piece, please. 6.
Item number 6 is an ordinance determining to proceed with the improvement of certain streets between certain termini in accordance with Resolution Number 49, 2025, 2025 Residential Resurfacing Program, determining to proceed with the improvement and declaring an emergency.
Chris?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of committee. Yes, this is the piece of legislation that will approve the board's recommendation, and there again, no one did show and oppose. This is the notice to proceed to the contract for the residential portion of our resurfacing 2025 program.
All right. Thank you, Chris. Committee members, any questions or comments? I don't see any. I see Mr. Lombardo.
What are we doing, 55 miles this year or 75?
Well, with both together, it's just under 50. So I was 34 and 14, but I think that carryover is more like 15 or 16. So right around 50.
And that's what's in the budget?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Any other questions or comments? If not, Chris did mention he would like suspension of the rules.
Motion for suspension of the rules with a favorable report.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for suspension of the rules. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right, moving forward to number 7, please.
Item number 7 is an ordinance determining to proceed with the improvement of certain streets between certain termini in accordance with Resolution Number 51, 2025, the 2025 Unimproved Street Resurfacing Program, and declaring an emergency.
Chris?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of committee. Yes, this is the same explanation as the first 2. This specific piece of legislation is for the 2025 Unimproved Street Resurfacing Program.
Thank you, Chris. Committee members, any questions or comments for Mr. Luddle? If I don't see anyone, he did mention suspension of rules. Can I get a favorable report?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor of suspension of the rules, say aye.
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 Anybody opposed? All right, thank you. Moving on to the next piece, number 8.
Item number 8 is an ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Service or his designee to enter into a contract or contracts without the formality of publicly advertising for bids with Backflow Solutions, Inc. to provide cross-connection control survey services and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, Sarah. Chris?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of committee. Yes, Backflow Solutions Incorporated, or as we refer BSI, they will establish a custom URL and an electronic web form. This is for our water department. This is for all of our commercial accounts or industrial accounts that have a backflow preventer in them. They will actually help us manage the program where they will mail out to each one of our accounts or customers, and then they will track. It's up to the customer or the owner of the property to have a backflow tested annually by a certified backflow company through the state of Ohio. And this will help us clean up a lot of our old records. We do currently have a relationship with BSI. This is just an extension of what they're doing. They're going to be going a lot more with our meter shop and with the new meters to, like I said, all our backflows. And then anybody that has an irrigation account residentially, they have a backflow also to prevent anything from the irrigation system backflowing into our system. So they're required to have a backflow, and this will be part of this. What they will be doing for us is tracking, making sure that the customer files their inspection data, and everything that goes with the backflow. And this is all mandated by Ohio EPA. These are all regulations that we have to do.
All right, sounds interesting. Committee members, any questions or comments for Mr. Luddle? All right, I don't see any. Chris, what would you like? Consent okay on this one?
Consent's fine.
Sure.
Motion for consent.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for consent agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right, moving on to the final piece.
Item number 9 is an ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Service or his designee to enter into a contract or contracts after publicly advertising for bids or obtaining quotes as appropriate for the purchase and installation of speed tables and other traffic calming interventions and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, Sarah. Chris?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. This is our annual traffic calming legislation. Some of the highlights I want to talk about for the 2025, our projections are, we are going to, we have currently 40 solar speed limit signs through all of our city or all our wards. We're going to keep those. Michelle DeFiore, she couldn't be here today, but she will be working with each council member on some suggestions they have. We could move those around. We could leave them on the same streets. But we are, with this legislation, we are going to purchase 20 more solar speed signs, which means we're going to be putting those in all 10 wards throughout the city. Some of the other things that we're going to do are, we're going to try this year, at least on a couple streets, and they're going to be our third priority. When I say third priority, I mean snow plowing. We're going to leave those down through the winter next year. So we're going to install a couple of the temporary speed tables. The rubberized ones are a hard composite, I should say, and we're going to leave those down. Obviously, there's going to have to be some signage, some training with our public works people when it comes to plowing. Salting doesn't bother them, but obviously plowing. Some of the other things we are going to do, we are going to pilot more of our permanent asphalt speed tables or traffic calming. The only one we currently have is on Maple Street by the fire station, by the curve right there, just south of Market Street. So we're going to pilot, I'm going to say between 4 and 7 this year throughout the city. Another thing that we're going to try this year or continue to pilot is raised crosswalks. Raised crosswalks, we did our first one this year at Patterson Park Community Center. So it's on the concrete portion of that Patterson Avenue. It will cross from the community center over to the residential development right across the street, where we have a lot of kids going back and forth. So we are going to do, we're going to work with Councilman McKittrick. His ward has the concrete streets. We're looking at another concrete raised crosswalk on Shelburne by the high school there. Like I said, we will work with him, but we are going to also maybe pilot some raised asphalt crosswalks this year. So we do have that in the budget. We have on our carryover from resurfacing, we have a couple programmed in there. And then in this year's 2025 budget, in the resurfacing, we have that in the budget also. So another thing we're going to be doing this year is continuing our evaluation of some of these through streets that aren't through streets, I should say. We did Delia recently. We brought you a piece of legislation a few weeks ago in Archwood. So we're going to be looking at other streets throughout the city that go from 25 to 35 back to 25 to designate those as not through streets, and we'll change that. We will be changing that speed limit back to 25 to help slow people down. Another thing we're going to do this year is some line painting where you have a street that's like, I would say, a lane and a half, where you're traveling down. It's not a full 2 lanes, but it's only 1 lane, and people sometimes want to pass on the right. We're going to be doing some striping on these, just an edge line, and people tend to stay between that center line and that edge line. That tends to slow people down too. So those are some of the things we're going to be doing. I would respectfully ask for suspension of rules if council's okay, so we can get this going. But Michelle's going to be the one that's going to be reaching out to all of you to give you some ideas what we've already have programmed in your wards, and also what your ideas are on some of this traffic calming. You did ask, Councilman Kamer, you did ask me last week about the speed trailers by APD. They have separate budget for that. That is not included in this piece of legislation.
All right, thank you, Chris. I appreciate everything you said. I actually agree with everything. So I appreciate that. Keep up the good work. And the only comment that I would make is I appreciate all the hard work that goes into this, because obviously I'm sure all of us know we get the phone calls from residents in regards to speeding. But if possible, it would be nice if we can start discussing this a couple weeks earlier, just because the weather's been pretty nice for the last couple weeks, and I'm sure we're all getting those phone calls. But yeah, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Committee members, any questions? Mr. Bolden?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Little. Appreciate this. As people have been screaming at me a lot as the weather got warmer. Question on the solar speed signs in relation kind of to the speed trailers that they have. Is there an option that these could actually collect data and send data, those solar speed signs? Do we know?
They do.
They do send data to?
Yeah, we have a service we have to pay when we buy them, and it collects data. So we have, when we first put them in, sometimes we don't turn them on. Mm-hmm. And we call that stealth mode. Mm-hmm. So they're there, but they still collect data.
Okay.
So we're looking at what happens once we throw them up, but they're not illuminated. They're all solar power, but it's easy to turn them off, but we can collect the data. So we look at that speed. So if it's a 35-mile-an-hour street or 25, and it's off for 2 weeks, we can go back and see what the speeding is. We turn them on, and then we see what the reduction is, and then we watch it throughout the year to see how much the speed has changed, and then what is the average speed. Because I think we've talked about it before, in some of these through streets, let's take like Delia, we just changed over in Ward 3. You know, if you're walking down the sidewalk and someone's doing 42 miles an hour in a 35, you might think, boy, they're flying down the street, but they're only going 7 miles over, right? The same thing on a 25-mile street. You know, 32 is not 42, but that's what we're looking at. What has changed, what has helped, and what do we need to do to continue to try to get basically calm the traffic down through these neighborhoods?
Does it collect the times of when these
Yes.
are? Because that's what I'm wondering, if we can find those times, if they're, obviously where we give it to the police or somehow, and look at it, say if people are speeding, say after school from 3 to 5, could we get a cruiser out there to ticket every once in a while on prime times? Because I know it's difficult to get them out, but if we can get them out there in an hour where it's heavy, maybe they could ticket a couple people, maybe it might slow some people down.
I agree. I mean, that's something, the conversation we could have with public safety, obviously, right? But I mean, there's always anomalies. I mean, there's ones that we've registered 80 miles an hour.
Right.
And PD would say it's probably a motorcycle. You know what I mean? It's probably just one of those weird things that happen that how could somebody be going 80 miles an hour on a residential street, you know?
I appreciate, I
So
didn't
that, I
realize.
mean, you throw those out, obviously.
Right,
You know,
right.
we're not gonna build it to an 80 mile an hour one-time thing.
Okay, I appreciate that. I didn't know they collected the data and we
Yes.
were getting it. That's great. Now if we can just get it to the cops and see if they're open to
Yep.
coming out and putting some people when they have the time, that would be, I think that would curb a lot of speeding in our neighborhoods too.
It tends to, when we turn them on, it tends to slow them down, at least for the, you know, the short term.
I've said the same thing. I find myself going over 25 and a 25, and then I see those and it's like, oh, man.
Kind of reminds you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Good questions. Councilman Lombardo.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The last time I was I was on Patterson Avenue with the raised crosswalk, well, I mean, it's good that it slows people down, but it seems like it could really damage a car if there's no like striping or something, because it's all new cement, so it just all looked.
So we will have signing. I mean, we have to.
Okay.
There will be signs on both sides of it. You know, that speed table ahead or traffic, it's going to say speed table ahead. There'll be signage, absolutely.
Okay. Will there be any striping around it? I remember when the composite speed tables were put down, it seemed like there was a white stripe or a white arrow leading to the table. Now that one, you know, it's obvious. I mean, it's a black composite piece of material, but it just seemed like the last time I was on Patterson Avenue, you know, I'm not
I'll look into it, but I mean,
advocating.
if you're driving 25, it should be fine.
I know,
Yep.
I know.
But I'll look
just
into it.
Seems like it could. Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman McKittrick.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Mr. Little, I'm curious, and we're talking about all the data here. Has the data shown that these solar signs have had an impact in actually slowing traffic?
It has, but it hasn't shown where it's egregious. You know what I mean? When I say 7 miles and over, we see a lot of that. Okay, we see a lot of 7 to 8 miles over the speed limit. We don't see where, oh, it's at mark 25 and everybody's going 42. We just don't see that. If you take out some of the low and highs, they're right in there between, I'd say, 5 and 8 miles over the speed limit. Okay, even in the stealth mode. Okay, we don't see a lot of real bad actors out there.
I guess specifically what I'm asking, with the stealth mode, and you look at that data, and then once it's on, does it show that the speed actually
It shows
decrease?
an immediate reduction, like
Okay.
like Councilman Bolden says. You see it. Oh, wait a minute! And you slow down those 5 or 6
Okay.
miles an hour. Then they're going to speed limit. If in my opinion, what we've seen, if you didn't have that, and it's 35, they're going to continue going 42. You know what I mean? So at least at that point, it seems like they're either letting off and going through it, or they're actually hitting their brakes and slowing down. But it's not. It hasn't been real bad. It hasn't been like, oh, we're getting a lot of 50s, and all of a sudden they're getting down to 35. We're not seeing that data.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Councilman. Good questions. I see Councilman Fusco's next.
Thanks, Chair. This is somewhat relative in that would there be technology out there, and suspect not, but what I'm seeing is, with these streets, whereas we have the bike lanes, and I know it's kind of a sore subject, but at times you see motorcycles, and sometimes you even see folks in cars utilizing those as a passing lane. And I was considering bringing in legislation. I don't even know if we have anything that could address that legislatively, probably not. but thinking that would be a prudent thing to do, because I'm beginning to see that, and I think that would be.
I think that'd be a good conversation we have with our safety forces. Like, that's
Right.
definitely a traffic violation, obviously. You're driving a car in a bike lane, or you're driving a motorcycle in the bike lane.
Yeah, I don't know what the rules are, if there is any currently. I don't know.
That'd be a good question for our traffic division.
Yeah.
But I mean, that'd be interesting but it's designated for a car, it's not designated, bike lane, you cannot drive your car.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
And that's what I'm wondering.
That's sometimes we've put up the delineators, but then all it takes is one person to run them over, then we're out there replacing them again,
And another thing too that you see oftentimes with the center turning lane, it's also used as a drop-off and loading zone. Oftentimes, I'm sure that all of us have experienced that one form or another.
I've seen it today at the Federal Building at about 11:30, so, yeah. The hotel was getting some deliveries, so.
Yeah.
That's not a good thing, no.
So I don't know how to address that piece, but the one piece does kind of concern me about the bike lane. So I'm happy to work with anyone if they'd like to do that.
That'd be great, thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Fusco. Anyone else? All right, suspension of the rules is a good move. So committee?
Motion for suspension of the rules with a favorable report.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right, we'll suspend the rules on that one, and that's all we have for us today.
Our next committee of the day is the Public Safety Committee. Those committee members are McKittrick, Kamer, Lombardo, Hannah, and Davis. We do have all committee members present. We'll give everyone just a minute to get to their chairs. Thank you.
I'd like to call the public safety meeting to order. We have previous minutes to approve. If I could get a motion.
Motion to approve minutes.
Is there a second? Second. We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. We have one piece to come before us today. It's an ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee to enter into a contract or contracts after publicly advertising for bids for the purchase and distribution of carbon monoxide detectors through the award acquired through the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, Fire Protection and Safety Grant, and declaring an emergency. We have Chief Lash today and Captain Pazernik here today. Who's going to present? All right.
Microphone.
How's that? In 2023, we applied for a grant through FEMA. With the goings-on in Akron, we average about 100 to 150 carbon monoxide calls each year. This year alone, we've had 88 so far. Last year, we had upwards of about 115 of those calls. In 2022, we did have some fatalities in our city due to carbon monoxide, so I think our city, with our dress-down funds, allocated about $3,000 for carbon monoxide alarms, and we were able to purchase about 100 of those. They go very, very fast with the need in our city. With our grant from FEMA that we were awarded in August of 2024, we are requesting, with your permission, to accept grant monies of about $59,000 so that we can continue to purchase carbon monoxide alarms for the safety of our citizens.
Thank you very much for that information. So with that amount of money for that grant, is there an approximate amount of detectors that would be able to be purchased?
Right now, we have to put out a bid. Carbon monoxide alarms can be anywhere from about $30 and they can go over $50 as well, but we'll put a bid out to our stores that actually sell right now, Home Depot, Lowe's, Walmart. We'll see who's got, who would win that bid. But with about $33, we'd be able to buy just under 1,800 carbon monoxide alarms.
That's great news. Thanks so much for that information. Any questions from any committee members? Councilman Lombardo.
Right, I just purchased some myself, so I was just doing the math, 59,000, if it was even on the high end, 50, you get 1,100, but you were saying possibly with that, bulk quantity, you could get them down to $30 or $35.
We've gotten them in the past year or so for $33,
Yeah.
but those prices do fluctuate.
Right, and then, once you do that, what would be the method for residents to, request one? I mean, I know you've come to my ward meetings and there's a flyer and everything like that. Do we just kind of prep residents that if you need one?
There are a number of ways. Our social media is one method that we put out information all residents can call. Right now, we do track specific data, meaning income, annual income, age in the home, whether they're youth under 18 or older adults over 60. However, all residents are eligible unless they live in rental properties where their housing management is supposed to be taking care of those safety functions. But they can all call. We'll go to our community meetings, including ward meetings, continue our social media, and a lot of our residents call just inquiring if we still have the program. And also our firefighters going into homes on incidents or calls can also let us know if they ask those questions or hear detectors or old alarms that are malfunctioning or expired.
Awesome, good information. Thank you.
Thanks for those questions, Councilman. Any other committee members or council members? Councilman Fusco.
What's the trends that you discover in terms of, you mentioned a number annually, like 120 or so, whatever that number is?
We average
130?
about 100 to 150 calls each year of residents calling because their older detectors or carbon monoxide detectors are making noise, sounding off, or they will call saying they are feeling ill all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And they're not sure if it's carbon monoxide or not.
Are there trends in terms of home ownership versus rentals? Anything like that, especially whenever they're dated or, what do you see?
We would have to look more into that. I know our housing administration, they do periodic meetings with our landlords just to make sure they are aware that that is their responsibility to purchase. However, with our MOU and our agreement with our law department, we will still go in, again, if it's a single-family home rental property. We just want to make our residents safe.
Exactly.
But the trends, we would have to look more into that. We do have an uptick sometimes in the wintertime when people turn on their furnaces. But that's, again, gas-powered appliances, furnace, hot water tank, a gas-powered stove, or an attached car garage can all give off any of those carbon monoxide emergencies.
Interesting. That'd be interesting to see that data, for sure. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Councilman. Any other questions by council members, committee members? Not seeing anybody. What's your time preference on this, Chief? Suspension of the rules, or is there a time restraint to try to get this through for the?
Well, we need to purchase, or at least make a purchase by early fall this year, end of summer. But as soon as possible, we have to purchase at least half of that amount of carbon monoxide alarms this year, this fiscal year, and then we'll purchase the next half next year.
Okay,
By
well,
end of summer.
it's hard to put a price on saving lives.
I'll make a motion to suspend the rules with a favorable report.
All right, we have a motion and a second
I
for
second.
suspension of the rules.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, well, thanks so much for coming down. This is great news to be able to protect our citizens. If we had all these, and I'm sure it would avert some deaths that we've had. But thanks so much for all your work, and thanks for your time. We have nothing further to come before public safety. We will be adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
That is the final committee meeting of the day. Council will meet in special session at 5 o'clock. Thank you.